On a special edition of Bets on the Future. As you can see, we're not in our normal environment. We are actually in person for a very, let's call it live event. We're here in Las Vegas. Lisa Kagan is joining us, and we are in the expo hall, currently in the setup phase. So if you are hearing any of the noises behind us, please bear with us. I just want to give a quick thank you to Lisa and do a quick bio for you. Over the past 17 years, Lisa has played a pivotal role in conceiving, building, and commercializing multiple successful ventures. Her career began in corporate venturing at Deloitte. She co-founded Endless, a New Zealand-based metal recycling business, and in 2023, she exited Endless to focus on building Buddy, a metal recycling marketplace built for scrappies by scrappies. She's also currently pursuing her master's in technological futures. A huge thank you, Lisa, for coming on, especially in the middle of getting your booth, your business up off the ground during this major conference at ISRI. Again, thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time.
So good to be here, Jen, and so good to meet you in real life after all this chatting online.
Yes, for those who may not realize it, this is our first time actually meeting in person. We got introduced to each other probably a little over a year ago at this point.
Yeah.
You're based out of New Zealand.
That's right, Auckland, New Zealand.
Yes, and I am not.
No.
So this is one of the few international episodes of Bets on the Future. So really appreciate you flying around the world. Appreciate it. I know a little bit about your background, but I'm just very curious and want to get into how you went from Deloitte to Buddy to the scrap world. You know, I gave a little brief introduction, but can you just fill in a little bit more of like how you made that transition?
Sure. So I'm a little bit of an accidental entrepreneur. Stu, my business partner and life partner, was in scrap metal for years and years and years in South Africa. We immigrated to New Zealand, and he wanted to start his own metal recycling operation. And I was like, hold up, let me look into this and see if this is a viable opportunity. Is there a market here, et cetera, et cetera. And so I got really stuck in to the business plan for that and the market validation. And I was like, wow, this is a huge opportunity. You should do this, right? But he was so busy on the tools. I realized really quickly that, you know, things were growing and he wasn't going to be able to do all of the infrastructure, the digital infrastructure, the back office infrastructure, etc. So I thought I would just like pop in for a couple of months and help out. And then I got bitten by the scrap bug. And I just thought it was a really cool industry, really enjoyed it. And I spent a lot of my time on the sort of venture creation and digital infrastructure side of the business. And, you know, one of the pain points that he really experienced and actually just bugged me more than him was him trading on WhatsApp at all hours of the night, every night. And I was just like, I'm done with this. And yeah, I had the idea for Buddy for years because I was just not having that anymore. But we had to do something standalone. It wouldn't make sense to have come out of a small metal recycling operation, you know, relative to the rest of the world. And so, yeah, I was like, let's do this. Let's build Buddy. And here we are. I wouldn't have it any other way.
It really is incredible. You know, it's 2024. For those that are listening, in terms of the metal supply chain, explain to them where metal recycling falls, just to kind of give them an idea of maybe how archaic the process has been that you're solving.
Yeah, so basically on the supply side, so the metal recyclers, it's really fragmented. It's a hyper-local industry. So there are scrap yards in every city, in every town of the world, right? And we need to find a way to get all of that material to the mills and the foundries of the world. And currently the tech stack is WhatsApp, text message, Excel spreadsheets, even phone calls, pieces of paper. That's part of the tech stack, if you can call it that.
Yep.
And so, yeah, I think, this industry, it deserves better. These are the hardest working, never stopping people who keep the circular economy rolling. And, we need systems in this industry that are designed specifically for this industry from within this industry. There are a lot of people in tech who see this industry and see it's very traditional, and they get really excited and they want to tackle the industry, but there's so much nuance, and it's not something that anyone can just come in from the outside and solve. That's my view anyway.
It really isn't one of those industries that you can, kind of just hop into.
Yeah.
I used to trade scrap metal or recycled materials, raw materials. We're at ISRI, which is the Institute of Scrap Recycling Industries. It's the largest recycled materials conference in the world. And they are in the process of rebranding, because scrap is a term that may not be necessarily seen in a positive light to some folks, and so it is in the process of rebranding for that. But it's something that is necessary for raw materials for the circular economy that you talked about. And when I was trading that, when I was working at mills to melt it down, for lower carbon emissions, for making, products in that circular economy, I was using graph paper.
I'm not even shocked.
I have all of my notebooks still, from all of those years. I mean, it was colored highlighters to know which ones were buy, sell, not a good price. I mean,
there's no data there, right? There's no data in that. And I think,
Yeah.
The best version of the most productive version of Jen was not that version, even though it was all color coded and probably beautifully written, as I can only imagine, and really organized notebooks. They're still notebooks, right?
Yeah.
And so there's no system of source. And without a system of source, you don't have data. And without data, you don't have access to all of these new technologies, machine learning and artificial intelligence. You've got no data set.
Yeah.
That's meaningless to you. And so, in this industry, data matters as much to us as it does as any industry. And yeah.
It's been really cool to see over the recent years, companies like Buddy and other companies, especially at conferences like this. It used to just be equipment manufacturers coming to these conferences, to these expo halls as we're sitting here. And now there are multiple technology companies here, multiple data-driven companies. There's even a couple AI companies that are here.
Yeah.
They're finally seeing that our industry, first of all, is the OG on recycling.
Oh yeah.
Okay, we have been here a lot longer on that time frame. And it's really cool to see that there are people out there that are wanting to try and solve a lot of these issues and trying to increase productivity, trying to improve a lot of those pain points that you talked about, right?
Yeah.
For essentially the benefit of...
It's a benefit of the whole industry, really, right? We're trying to improve recyclers' trading outcomes, right? That's what we're trying to do. So it's just a means to an end, and that's the end we're trying to achieve, right? Yeah. Is streamlining that process, connecting all the disparate parts of the trading system. So you've got your traders, you've got your back office, you've got your yard ops, and just connecting them all seamlessly so that they can access that information and be the best version of themselves, whatever it is they're doing in their role, and really just supercharge what they're doing.
I have to ask, you're launching your nth business at this point. You're going to school to get your master's degree. You're traveling the world. Is there a secret sauce? Is it caffeine? Is it coffee?
So I don't drink coffee. I'm hypersensitive to stimulants.
Okay.
But I have low sleep needs, so that's just lucky. I sleep 4 to 5 hours a night. That's all I sleep, and that's all I need.
Wow.
Usually 5, 4 I can get, after a while that catches up with me. But I'm really lucky, in working with my husband. We really dovetail, which is really good. Got an amazing team that I'm working with that I'm just feel so lucky and blessed and grateful every day to be working with. Amazing support from friends and family. And I just feel like we live in a world where really you can have it all. You can. I really believe you can. It's just about setting up your life and your lifestyle in a way that works, whether you are self-employed, employed, whether you're an employee, whatever it is. I think COVID, that's one good thing that came out of COVID, hybrid working or working from home. Although we were making a joke the other day, we saw a post, Stu and I, and it said, hey, ChatGPT, finish making this building, right? There's certain things, you've still got to come into the office for,
yes.
Particularly in this industry. So it can be tough, but there's so many roles in this industry, right? It's not just yard operations. There's trading, there's the administrative side, there's the big relationships, there's finance, there's marketing, all these roles, any role you can think of, it's available to you in this industry. And so, you might find at a particular point in your career, you're running the weighbridge, and another time you're a marketing coordinator, so you can grow in this industry, you can change with it as your phases of life change. And I'd just encourage everybody to try set their life up in the best way possible, as far as they can,
Well, the marketing coordinator comment struck me because, when this podcast gets released, it's going to be after the fact, spoiler alert. But you are going to be sitting on a tech panel that I'll be moderating later this week on Thursday. And we were having a meeting about that. And one of the things that Isri was asking for was if there were any promotional materials, any marketing materials. And it was one of those questions where you're like, hold on, let me ask my marketing department. Turned back, and then turned back, and you're like, all right, that's me. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Right. But that's that entrepreneur, in you, where as you're growing and you're adding people to your team, like there are some points where, yeah, you have to do maybe a couple jobs at that time, but as you're building out your team, like you will then be able to like hire out and grow. And I think it's really impressive what you've been able to accomplish in your career as you're growing, as you're building. And you're, in my opinion, you're kind of not even halfway in your career.
For sure, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, we're just getting warmed up, man.
Right?
Yeah.
So imagine what you're going to accomplish overall. And it's going to be really cool to see what y'all come up with.
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, it's just been such an enjoyable ride. That's the truth. And so I think if you enjoy what you do every day, I mean, I know it's a cliche, but it's a cliche for a reason, but you never work a day in your life. I mean, this has been such a joyful ride with Buddy. And I intend to keep it that way, not to say things don't get hard at times and, things don't get tough and you're going to make tough decisions. Yeah. But at the end of the day, that's any role in any career, just about, right? So, pick your hard, choose your hard.
I do have to say, if you're not following Lisa and your business partner, life partner, Stu, on LinkedIn, definitely give them a follow because you do seem like you really enjoy what you do. Like, you're obviously posting about the business and about some of your, your travels and things like that, but you do it in a way where it does seem like you're having fun. Like it seems authentic. Like right? Like
it is, right? And that's the thing. If we're not having fun, then what are we doing here? That's something that's important to us. A lot of values, people say, oh, be this, be that. And there's a lot of common values. You don't often see fun as a value in a company, but it's super important to us. We want to enjoy the ride, not just, wait for this destination. Yeah. Because you may or may not get there, right? And so might as well have fun in trying. So
absolutely. Yeah. Is there anything that you see like coming down the pipeline for our industry? Is there anything that you're like, this is kind of where I see some of our industry going? Like, for instance, like the Isri rebrand. Did you see that?
So coming? I think there's been so much talk, about people who are really advocating for the industry. Yourself, John Sacco, Brett, Robin, Jason, all of them talking about, recycled materials instead of scrap, etc. So it's been a long time coming. So I'm not surprised. I didn't know that it was coming, at this event necessarily, but I think it's probably the timing's right. Mm-hmm. Sustainability is a really hot topic, not just in our industry. It always has been in our industry, but much more broadly. And so, we need to really step up as an industry and take credit for the amazing work that we do. And if the word scrap, for example, is going to prevent us from doing that because of some associations that it has, particularly outside of the industry, well, we're in a position to do something about it. And that's what's so great about ISRI. It's, a member-based organization, and people speak up, and when they speak up, things happen. And so that's what we're seeing over here. The industry's spoken and they're taking action. And I think it's awesome. And I love how much fun they're having with the rebrand and how they've created all this awareness and this hype about it. Like, I can't wait to hear. I know everybody's going to view and we think, recycled materials, etc. We don't know what it's going to be called, but ISRI's an institution. It's been ISRI since forever. Since I met Stu, he's been going to ISRI every year, And so, it'll take time, I think, as well, for it to stick. When you're just in conversation, it's easy to say, at ISRI last year or at ISRI next year, but I no doubt that Jason and the team there will do an awesome job of making that stick.
I'm so curious to see what it's going to be. I feel like it's got to be some sort of 2 syllables, like to be able to say like, oh, we're going to go to such and such next year.
Yeah.
And to your point, it does need to be something that the external world can understand and grasp a little bit more.
Relate to.
Inside this world, I don't think scrap is ever going to go away, like that term. I mean, as I'm looking at you, behind you is Brett's A Scrap Life, like giant
There's
sign.
so much resonance, and I think scrappies have so much to be proud of.
Yeah.
And just because, the rest of the world isn't interpreting that term in the way that what we know the true meaning to be, doesn't mean we should throw the baby out with the bathwater. And when someone refers to themselves as a scrappy, there's a lot of pride in that. And that's awesome, So I think there's always room for internal language, whether you're an organization, whether you're an industry, whether you're a family. Like, don't say that outside of the house, kids. There's always room for that. There's room for both. So I think that'll stick. And then, in the right context, we'll talk about things a little bit differently to maybe in the minds of those audiences elevate what we do so that they get it, so that the penny drops and they see these people are recyclers. This is not waste. And if language is the key to unlocking that, then cool,
Yep. It's something that we need to start reaching out to, like the next generations or to the masses. I think you've seen a little bit this on social media where, sometimes when posts go out there, there's a little bit of pushback on some of the verbiage out there, just because it's a lack of information. Your product is used in a way to facilitate raw materials in a circular economy that most people aren't even aware exists.
And they're not, if they are aware, they have no idea how big and really central to everything that it is, And there's, not always enough respect given to the industry. My sister, for example, sorry, I'm just going to have to tell the story, but it just really, it tells so much. When I started at Endless and I was busy working on all the marketing and brand, she's also in brand and marketing, and I asked her to, could she maybe have a look at some of the marketing stuff for my business? And she said, what business? And then she laughed and said, oh, the scrapyard. As if it was this like fall from grace. I'd been a management consultant at Deloitte and done really well there, and now at the scrapyard. And I was just like, whatever, man, I'll look at it. But, what we're doing is such important work. It's as important, if not more important, than the stuff I was doing before. I mean, that was beautiful documents, and yes, commercializing businesses and that kind of stuff. Some of those might change the world, some of them might not. This is world changing on a daily basis. It literally keeps, the world spinning, recycled metals. So I think to make it an industry that is more attractive and has, a lot of people who were first generation scrap dealers didn't want their kids to be scrap dealers. They were like, I'm sending you to university, you're gonna get your MBA, you're gonna be an engineer, you're gonna be a doctor, you're gonna be an accountant, a lawyer, whatever it was, right? Because it wasn't seen for whatever reason as a respectable career, right? But now those generations have actually come back and been like, wait a minute, this is awesome, important work. I don't want to be a, whatever those things are. I want to come and work in this industry and show me the ropes,
I literally just had this conversation 30 minutes ago. There was a gentleman that I used to do business with that walked by, and he was talking to me about his children. They're of the age to start working in our industry. And he was telling me one of them was stacking some of the ingots over the summer months in between college semesters. The other one, not really into the industry or not particularly at that company. And I'm like, this is the perfect industry for that generation. It literally is about recycling. It's literally about carbon emissions. It's literally about the economy. It puts everything that they're passionate about into one package that they can be involved in.
Yeah.
That is setting them up for a successful career. And I would be like heavily encouraging my children to be taking a look at that.
And I think what you're doing with the podcast and all of the other endeavors you're involved in is so important. That's such important work because we're showcasing the industry and almost like lifting the veil and showing people that there's so many careers here. There's so many things that you can do. This is an awesome industry. This is an industry with purpose. You want to work in a career that has purpose, work in the recycled metals industry, right?
Yes.
People are all looking for that. In fact, I saw some hiring survey, human capital survey, and it was all talking about how one of the most important things to Gen Z in terms of choosing a career is purpose, right? So this ticks so many boxes, and we've just got to put a spotlight on it. And it's not just Jen or Brett or Stu or Isri, it's everybody. We've all got a responsibility to attract talent to this industry and make it really sought after. And I think it's just awareness. The awareness is lacking. If the awareness is there, people will see this is a great industry, and I think naturally they'll want to be a part of it. And that's been my experience in talking to people outside of the industry. They're always blown away and like, oh wow, this whole world existed that I didn't know about. And on the one hand, I'm like, they're seeing it. On the other hand, I'm like, gosh, how do I get to all the others?
Well, for a little bit of a recycled media plug, that is honestly one of the big pillars for us on a mission is imagine if we can have 100 Bretts that are out there, 1,000 Johns that are out there, essentially taking those personalities and being able to have them in the yards, taking the videos, showcasing what we're doing on a daily basis and how it translates into careers, into sustainability, into the full circular economy, into careers. Right?
And it's exciting, like the footage that we would get in the yard, like with the shredder and, the shear baler and just even the diggers. And it's awesome. And people want to watch that stuff. And I said to Stuart when I joined the industry, like, why is no one, and I say no one is a blanket, but it appears to be no one doing any marketing in this industry. What's up with that? And, the thing that we came up with is it's a very cost conscious industry, right? And if you view marketing as an expense, not an investment, you're not going to do marketing.
Right.
But guess what? You're going to get left behind, your business as an individual business, and you're not contributing to the industry, right? We're in this together. If the industry wins and attracts good talent, all of the metal recycling players are going to benefit, right? So what you're doing isn't just benefiting, the yard that you're doing the work for. It's benefiting the industry as a whole. It's getting the story out there. It's getting all those exciting videos of this equipment. I mean, I was just walking around earlier, and I'm like, this stuff is so cool. Like, where do you see this stuff, right? Especially coming from quite a corporate environment, you definitely don't see cool equipment like that, and it's fascinating and it's interesting content. You don't have to actually try really hard in this industry to create interesting content, and I can tell you in a lot of other industries you do. You have to try very hard. You have to manufacture stuff and just like come up with cool stuff all the time. This industry is serving it to you on a platter. You just need to capture it, package it, and hit post. That's all all you've got to do. And so I think it's a missed opportunity, and I love what you're doing with recycled media.
Thank you.
I think it's so needed in the industry, and I've seen a lot of metal recycling operations go to agencies who don't know about the industry, and it's just the messaging's all wrong. They don't get it. Like no. Come to recycled media, do it yourself, build up that capability in-house. But to go to an agency who knows nothing about scrap, I'm going to go hard on and say you're probably wasting your money.
Yeah, it really is incredible to see, what comes into the yard on a daily basis.
Yeah.
One yard we were talking to recently, there was a helicopter that came in on flatbed.
That is so cool. I hope they captured that.
Ish. We're working on that.
Yeah.
But that kind of material, the everyday person doesn't see.
And not everybody thinks about what happens to this when I'm done with it.
Right.
Everything's got a useful life, right? What happens to all these things when they come to the end of their useful life? And it's fascinating, and it's important to understand, especially in a very consumerist world, to understand that when you buy something, you don't throw it away. Away is somewhere. Where is somewhere, and what happens to it, and how is it handled and processed, and is it circular? And thankfully with metal, it's infinitely recyclable. It doesn't lose any of its properties, and so there can't be a greener industry.
I couldn't agree more. I know I want to be a little bit respectful of your time because you have a very full schedule here. But I just want to say thank you so much for coming on here, sitting down. It's been a pleasure to actually meet you in person for the first time after many conversations over the past year.
Yeah.
It's been really wonderful learning more about your background and what you're working on at Buddy. I think what you're bringing to the industry is very much overdue. We need more technology in this industry. It's very much a long time coming. So thank you very much for doing what you're doing, and you and Stu are incredible people, and I really appreciate it.
Well, thanks so much for having me, and yeah, so great to meet you in person, and I don't even need to wish you luck. You guys are killing it, and you're going to continue to kill it, so I'm excited to watch that journey.
Thank you.
See ya.